Rant has been completed.
Hey, thank you for joining the Escape With Me Book Club. Escape with me, Sam Reiner.
And me, Lizzie Sawyer.
Into our most recent read, come with us as we evade reality and go into detail about a new book. We'll be covering the book from beginning to end, so there will be spoilers. Today we're going to Jakarta, Indonesia. Published March 26, 2024, The Good, the Bad, and the Aunties is the third book in the Aunties series, and supposedly the last one. We will see, but supposedly it's ending in this trio. Flying home for Chinese New Year, Meddie and the Aunties find themselves in the middle of a strange love story, bringing them into contact with real Mafia this time. Looking at you, second book. With a revolving door of kidnappings, can Meddie and her family make it out of Jakarta together? Or will they not? I don't know. That felt like we needed something else there. I don't know what else. I think I usually have two questions, but that was kind of my only one. To very quickly go into background, we've read the first two books in this series.
We really liked the first one, and the second one was a little bit of a miss for us.
It was a disappointment.
Just a bit, yeah.
To put it lightly. This one was better.
Yeah, I'd say this one was better.
Because it wasn't the fake Mafia.
But it was the Mafia denying they were Mafia for the entire book.
Which I kind of get. I did kind of love that. It was like, we are law-abiding citizens.
We are law-abiding citizens.
And every once in a while, the family would be like, oh, they're just law-abiding citizens. And Meddie would be like, oh my gosh, they're so not.
They're so not.
But does it reach the level of the first book? I guess that's what this episode's about. Age level, this is an adult, although it doesn't have that many content warnings, honestly. There's blood, language, kidnapping, and drug use.
More drug use than I expected, gonna be honest.
Yeah, it kept coming up. Fourth Amp got really into it.
I mean, it kept coming up in the second book, too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like it came up more.
Yeah, but not like this.
But to judge a book by its cover, they have such a Art Deco style with very limited anything. And so, the only thing I really got from the cover is, I guess Nathan is finally involved now, unlike the second book.
Nathan's in this book. Yay!
Well, Nathan was in the last book too. He just wasn't a part of it, and it was frustrating. So he's actually in on it in this one. He actually makes it onto the cover. Yay!
I was worried he wasn't going to be a part of this one after the first incident.
Yes. But he comes back. I was actually a little surprised he does come back. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, other than that, the cover doesn't tell you anything. At least the second book, you knew there was a wedding. The third one, this really could have been about anything. But it's okay. It's kind of in the vein of the series. I think they've kind of boxed themselves into the corner with that. But yeah, it's short.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
And let me see. Dial A for Aunties was, according to Google, about 322 pages. And this one is 305. So theoretically, not that many pages left, except I felt like the text was super big. And they kept doing that cheating thing where they would end the chapter on a page to the right, and then you turn the page and it's a blank page, and then on the right side the chapter begins, which I think is just used to up the page count. So it feels really short, especially compared to the first one, because the first one, so many things were happening all at once and everything. That is one thing she hasn't been able to recreate now that she's a published author and she publishes like 6 books a year. My goodness. So that's something she hasn't really been able to recreate, was the layering she did, because yeah, there was the murder and hiding the body, but then there was Nathan, and then there was the investigation, but oh, actually someone is stealing all the presents, and it was a lot of stuff happening all at once. But this one's pretty straightforward. Was definitely more fun with the actual Mafia instead of everyone thinking that the other person was Mafia. Did appreciate that. It didn't feel like everyone was just being idiots for a book.
Yeah, there was actual danger.
Yeah, something was actually going on. And it starts out pretty chill. Meddie is skiing on our honeymoon, but oh, don't you know it, they're actually going to Jakarta for Chinese New Year, which was something we talked about. Could have been for this book, we talked about it being a baby shower, but yeah, like going home, seeing everybody in Jakarta seems to be the natural conclusion with it, which is great. They go home, see all their family, it's great, it's wonderful, and then in the middle of the night, but maybe not the middle of the night, I'm curious, what time of day did you think this was?
Oh, I thought it was middle of the night.
I thought it was in the middle of the night. I thought it was like 1, 2 a.m., something like you're woken in the middle of the night. But when he shows up, they just wake up and they're like, okay, let's start the day. So maybe 5 or 6 in the morning. Because everyone's dead asleep.
No, because they mentioned going to bed after they get back from What's-Her-Face's house. Because he makes them go there almost immediately, and then they come back without Nathan, and then Meddie goes to bed.
No, this is when he shows up the first time, when he comes with all the presents.
Oh, when he comes to all the presents, no, I didn't think it was the middle of the night. He's like early morning.
Yeah, that seems to be what time it is, because everyone was asleep and they all get woken up. So it can't be like 7, because I feel like people are awake around 7. So it had to be like 5. I don't know, something ridiculous. And wouldn't you know it, from the second book, the thing we actually kind of liked, second aunt's old boyfriend, who's totally a Mafia member. Leader, actually. The Scourge of Jakarta. Second aunt's old boyfriend shows up, and I kind of love it. So his name is Abraham Lincoln.
In the audiobook, they call him Abi.
Yes, that is his nickname. Although she points out, it's a little bit of a running gag, that Indonesian people name their children after famous white people. And I kind of wish they didn't call him Abi, because later on you meet someone named Julia Child. And I don't know, it just adds to the humor. Then it's like, and Julia Child is a mafia leader. I don't know, there was something about it, like them referring specifically Julia Child, that kind of added it to me. It was just like, this is just adds to the ridiculous a little bit.
And Chris Columbus.
And Christopher Columbus, but Christopher is spelled
with a K.
Both Christopher and Columbus, but they keep calling him Christopher. And I was like, no. Anyway, Julia Child was very funny. But yeah, he shows up. He has gifts for everyone. There's a practice where children and single people get red packets, which is filled with money. And so he just has all these presents for the family. And he's definitely not Mafia, he swears.
Yeah, but we don't get into that until later.
Because they're like, isn't he Mafia? He's the Scourge of Jakarta. Like, with this, that, and the other thing. He's like, no. He very specifically looks around and says loudly, I am a law-abiding citizen. Because wouldn't you know it? One of the red packets. I'm sorry, this whole book is because Abby's an idiot. This all could have been solved real fast. Why was the red packet for Julia Child with the other red packets? Why did it even make it into the house?
Oh, I was so mad at him for the whole part of the book. And then he's got them in the car and he's taking them to her house. And I'm like, you guys don't even know if he's lying to you or not. There might not even have been a red packet. Maybe he just doesn't want to give her the land and he's going to put all the blame on you and then make it your problem and then him just leave. Because what are you going to do? He's in the Mafia.
For real, though.
That was my whole train of thought. I was like, this guy's screwing you over big time and you're letting him.
Yeah. We have a lot of trust on this guy you haven't seen since you were not even a teenager.
For real.
Oh my goodness. But he shows up, he's like, hey, one of the red packets has a land deed.
And he's super scared too. I'm gonna die if we don't find it scared.
So he decides, because he can't find the red packet, that right then, middle of the night, the Aunties and Meddie and Nathan need to come with him to explain to Julia Child what happened? Why are they involved?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's just all his fault. They wouldn't have known.
It has nothing to do with them. Yes, they're family, but why? And of course, all the aunties are like, yeah, let's go do the thing. Because they're the aunties, but he shouldn't have asked them in the first place.
Really shouldn't have asked them in the first place.
Big Aunt is on to something. I'm just saying. He's not the best. Oh my gosh. So they go and meet the other mob boss, Julia Child. I can't. I'm sorry. It's so funny. Anyway, Julia Child, spelled properly for some reason. They just go there and they explain, hey, there's a mishap. We're gonna hunt it down. She's like, cool.
I'm keeping Nathan, though.
I'm keeping your husband. But this isn't a kidnapping. No. He's just going to be my guest.
And through this whole thing, the Aunties and Meddie's mom are just gaslighting her to no end.
So hard!
Be like, oh, it'll be fine. You're being melodramatic. You've always been melodramatic. I was so mad at them through this whole thing.
And she turns around and is like, I'm the melodramatic one? There was a point where she's like, if they're calling me melodramatic, what does that even mean for my life now? But yeah, because she's freaking out. She's like, oh, is he going to get tortured? Is he going to get thrown into the dungeon? What is happening? And Abby's like, no, you've been watching way too many movies. He's just going to hang out at her house until we get it.
No, he keeps saying nothing bad will happen because we're going to get the deed back. And Meddie's like, that didn't answer my question. That did not answer my question. He's like, but nothing bad's going to happen because we're going to get the land deed back.
This doesn't make me feel better. Oh my goodness. But I don't know. There are a couple of times where the aunties kind of get nuked. The aunties and Nathan say literally nothing. They just leave. Nothing is said to anyone because I got to the part where it's like, oh, I'm keeping Nathan. And I was like, ooh, mom's going to be real mad about that. You're kidnapping my child, like my favorite child now, basically. Hinted at a little. Meddie's a little jealous.
I mean, I would be too.
I would be so mad. I'd be like, excuse you? No. You don't get to keep my son-in-law, but my son, I was expecting sass. I was expecting something. I was expecting them to have a single word in this whole conversation. Nope. They don't get any dialogue in that scene where she's like, I'm keeping Nathan. Meddie's just like, oh no, please don't. And she's like, well, get the land deed back. And then they leave. What? They were way too calm about that. Who are these people? But they go back to the house and they get a dessert so they can start making plans, which is extra funny to me because I was looking through my bookmarks and I sent it to you and I had picked one of my Golden Girls bookmarks.
Yeah.
It's pretty on point. They also sit around and make plans over dessert.
I love that show. That's a good show.
So they make a list of all the single people and the children, and apparently there aren't really any single people that are in their 20s or something, because it just makes it sound like they're only children, but okay. So the aunties, before Meddie even gets up, go around the party, talk to all the children. They don't have anything.
Just the people that live in the house, the direct family.
Okay, so let's explain that. So the house they live in is kind of a mansion, but it doesn't feel like a mansion because it's a multi-generational home where like 5 families and their children live there.
I think it's technically only 4 families because it's 2 generations. So it's 2 sets of grandparents and then 2 sets of parents and then their kids.
Yeah.
But then for the Chinese holiday, the whole extended family came over.
Because they have the oldest member of the family. There are so many names just like buzzed around.
It's just so many names.
But from my understanding, you go to the house of the oldest family member, and that seems to be this house. So everybody's there. It's a huge thing. All the cousins, all the aunties and uncles and grandparents are there for
Chinese New Year, yeah.
And so the whole extended family got red packets, so not just the people they were living with.
Yeah, but when they wake up in the morning, they just check in with the kids that are in the family members that live in that house, because everybody else went home.
Yeah, very efficient. There was a moment where I got confused. They have a cousin named, I didn't think I wrote it down. I think it was like Gwen, and I thought for a hot second Stephanie and her family were about to show up again, but no, it was A-N, not A-H, so different people. But I was like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to me? You gave me a heart attack. But no, just
to confuse you.
Just to confuse me. But they track it down because they call a bunch of people. And no, none of the kids seem to have it. And so they're stuck there thinking, well, crap, what now? Somebody has it. Is somebody in our family lying? Is it someone else? And so Meddie thinks to go through the photos everyone took. Well, they find the photo with the red packet that's special because it's bigger and fancier. And how did you mess this up, Abraham? But they find it with this girl that they don't recognize. Great. So they go through more photos, and then the they find her again with Annabelle. Poor Annabelle. She's the real victim in this book.
She really is, and I kind of don't like that she never comes up again.
I have a lot of thoughts about that for sure. But Annabelle's friend Rochelle was over and she got the red packet. And so they're on the phone with Annabelle, meaning Meddie, the Aunties, and Abby. And the poor thing keeps getting yelled at by the Aunties. It starts off a conversation with Meddie, and then Meddie puts it on speakerphone. And slowly, as the conversation goes, Annabelle realizes, oh, there's more people here. So she texts her friend Rochelle, and she's like, hey, can I get this thing back? And Rochelle's like, no.
Nah, I don't feel like it. It's mine now.
And Rochelle's like super rude about this, the whole thing. And Annabelle gets yelled at for having terrible friends. And I feel really bad for her because Rochelle is a terrible friend. Legitimately.
Rochelle is a terrible friend. Yeah.
I don't know how she found out about Abby going to the house, but she snuck in there to steal the land deed because she knew he was stupid enough to include them with the red packets. I have thoughts about that, but that's beside the point. But yeah, Annabelle's getting yelled at by her family, like, hey, you stole this from my family. Can you give it back? And she's just like, nah. That's a really bad friend, my girl. The Aunties are right. I mean, they're a little mean about it, but she's not great. They end up getting Annabelle and being like, we're going to be at your house. You're going to take us to Rochelle right now. And so poor thing gets this whole car ride. And poor Annabelle, this whole car ride, she's getting talked at angrily about her friend and how terrible she is and how dare she go to this school system instead of this other school system because clearly they have terrible friends. Poor Annabelle's like, well, I'm awakening to the fact that Rochelle doesn't seem great, but the other people are fine. You know, the ones that aren't granddaughters to the third Mafia leader. Because shock and surprise, like I said, she stole it on purpose because she wants to give it to her grandfather so her grandfather will leave her the company. I was a little surprised when Rochelle showed them, haha, I have the red packet, and then the Aunties attack her.
Yeah, that was a little surprising.
Okay, let me be completely honest. That wasn't the surprising part for me. I was a little surprised how long they waited. But they attack her, get it, and run off. I was shocked it was the real one. I was totally expecting them to be running away and her to laugh and be like, ha, you think I would show you the real one? But no, she's a teenager, and that was the real one. And so they run away, and they get away, and they go to Julia Child, and they get Nathan back. This seems like a horrible plan. Christopher kind of gets in on it, but you find out that these three are business rivals, and they're terrible to each other, and you'll find exactly out what they do, but they backbite and do whatever they can to get an edge on the others. And so I didn't understand why Christopher was uniting his enemies against him. Do not steal from both of them.
Yeah.
Because then they'll unite against you.
He doesn't seem like the brightest individual.
He's an idiot. Anyway, we'll get there. So they get Nathan back. All is fine, well, and whatever, except Meddie thinks, hey, we should get out of the country right now. This seems sus, all of this. To which brings a point that I want to bring up that is never brought up in this book, never addressed, and it makes me very angry. What makes you think they won't retaliate against your family?
Yup.
Rochelle knows where Annabelle lives. She knows where the rest of your family lives. She was there. What is stopping if you guys leave Jakarta today?
They also never have the cousins lunch. Meddie goes through and calls all of her cousins, and they're all like, oh, we should have a cousins lunch. And that never happens.
She was never gonna do that lunch, please. I never suspected that. Even she herself is like, I'm a terrible cousin. But the Aunties are like, nah, it's fine. We've done the thing. It's whatever. Come to wake up next morning, second aunt has been kidnapped.
And it's not just them being melodramatic.
Literally, she was doing Tai Chi on the lawn.
Min drove up in a big black car, busted the gate open.
And she gets abducted into the car.
She gets snatched.
But seriously, no one cares about the family. Meddie's just like, as soon as we leave, it's fine.
For real. They have all this talk about saving face and all this, that, and the other, and how they want to spend more time with the family and blah, blah. And then it doesn't happen, and we don't really talk to them, and we don't really think about it, and they don't really exist.
We want to stay and see the family. Now, Anyway, let us go cavort with Mafia for this entire book.
With the way that some of them were introduced at the beginning of the book, I was like, yeah, these people are definitely going to reappear. They've got names. We have backstories for them, like the favorite cousin and the kid with the Barbie with a lightsaber.
It's a whole thing.
It was a whole thing. And then we don't really ever circle back to that, ever.
Nope. So second dad gets kidnapped. So they somehow end up back at Julia's, and I don't know why Julia's involved. She's like, I'm not involved in this. And then she's totally involved in this.
And they're like, yes, you are. And I'm like, how, though? Okay, to be fair, though, they probably wouldn't have beaten up the teenager if she hadn't kidnapped Nathan. So this is kind of her fault.
I mean, this is kind of her fault because of a lot of reasons. But anyway, they come up with a 5-point plan because 4 is bad because, okay, that's fair. Japanese culture, 4 means death.
Yeah, 4 does mean death.
It's the same word.
Yeah.
So same with Japanese. Apparently that's Indonesian as well. So they have to have a 5-point plan. And the 5th point is something totally random and it's fine. But 1, they find out, oh, he hosts a very convenient second Lunar New Year's 2 days later. How convenient. For business partners and friends. So they need to get into this event. Oh, but he's so persnickety. He's gonna know every single person invited in this.
He's definitely gonna know every person that's there, even though they've already stated that he invites hundreds of people.
Possibly 1,000, honestly, with how many people are there. But that's beside the point. He's so freaking persnickety. Julia and Abby would totally let random guests walk about, but not this guy. I don't know. It's pretty contrived. But contrived excuse to be contrived excuse. They have to come in as help instead. So that's plan 1. Get in, find second aunt, get out, go away on private jet. A little bit funny. Sometimes you can really see the author's humor break in, and that's why I think this one has more humor than the second book, where I was just really frustrated with Meddie the whole time. The 4th one is fly out on the private jet, right? And so it starts out, it is like fly out on Julia, crossed out. Abby, crossed out.
My plane can get all the way to LA on 1 tank of gas. Yes, but they'll expect that. So the layover in I forget where is better to throw them off the trail. Cross out a plane. We leave on a plane.
It was so good. Oh my gosh. So Big Aunt used to work for the Ritz in Indonesia, and they all love her. And so she calls them up and she's like, hey, can I come in on this with you? I haven't done an Indonesian bit in forever. And they are like, well, it's a little unprecedented, but since it's you, absolutely.
That bit was cute. They all call her mommy.
It's so cute.
It's so cute.
And they completely ruined that because
Meddie's mom and 4th aunt drug them and they steal the uniforms and toss them in the back of a truck.
A van.
Well,
specifically. But yeah,
it's not good.
Hands them alcohol because Big Aunt tries to get them in. And they're like, we can't do that. Is it just me or there are very, very, very few caterers at this event?
It felt like it, yeah.
There are like 5 of them for the entire event. And they list out all the foods and stuff. And it's so much food. 5 caterers. I've done events with foods before. They have so many more caterers than that. They don't even have a service staff.
What boggles my mind is that Big Aunt was single-handedly cooking a whole bunch of that stuff.
Single-handedly! They're like, hey, Big Aunt, you need to stay here and cook.
That doesn't sound feasible for one person.
I know, I was like, not one of you. I think she needs at least 1 assistant. She's doing the work of 5 people. Really should be more than 5 people, but...
who were doing the work of probably like 10 to 15.
And like I said, they don't bring any service staff.
It sounded like there was service staff there.
There is. It's so few people. But it works out because they only need to drug like 5 people and steal their uniforms. Okay.
It's all fine.
So they're in the house and people are starting to arrive. To give you an idea of when we are in the event, it's very beginnings. It's the people that get there like 10 minutes, 20 minutes early kind of vibes because they're still setting up the decorations. And their big idea is to just walk around with champagne trays. That's weird.
Yep. Yep.
Because they don't go into the garden, and one of the decorators is definitely giving them a look, and I'm very surprised that plot point didn't come up again. Because the decorator's like, hey, why don't you go out there and be with the guests since you have champagne? And it is a little bad because it's proven they all suck at carrying champagne trays.
Except for Nathan, because Nathan is perfect.
Because Nathan is perfect. But they don't, and then the decorator just gives them dirty looks because they just go down the stairs. They split up. Ma and Nathan go upstairs. Fourth aunt and Meddie go downstairs. And the decorator didn't say nothing.
He's like, all right, whatever. It's not my job to worry about this.
That decorator shows up like 3 times and it just never pays off. Why? But okay. Fourth aunt. I totally believe she would do this. Apparently she's on TikTok.
Which makes sense.
I believe it, absolutely. She's also on Instagram. They go on downstairs. They find the underside of the pool, which I agree with Meddie is a little weird. They go into a room and they find the garage with all the fancy cars. The fourth aunt wants her to take pictures for Instagram and videos for TikTok.
Because yes, let's have evidence of being in this spot where we're not supposed to be.
So let's talk about Meddie's logic. Meddie's logic's pretty sound, supposedly. We'll talk about why you might as well at this point, honestly. But with her logic is we don't want photographic video evidence that we were here in this room. Okay, that's fair. Fourth aunt immediately just hands her phone and Meddie's like, okay, all willpower crumble. Girl.
I mean, that's Meddie for you, though.
We've had 2 books of I need to stand up to my aunts. Oh, well. The fact of the matter is they brought their phones, period. You might as well. They didn't turn off their location trackers. They didn't turn off Wi-Fi or anything else. You know that because they don't mention it. So you might as well. Their phone is going to lead them to say they were there to begin with. If we were really worried about that, we would have left our phones at home. Anyway, very conveniently in this garage, there are several doorways and they, gosh darn it, first try. They find the security guard that has all of the security camera footage. And wouldn't you know it, for some reason, even though this is a massive event, and where is the security to begin with? Only one guy in the room, and he is watching an action movie.
Of course.
So not a great employee. Fourth aunt drugs him as well. But only one person to watch all of those screens?
Well, he clearly wasn't watching them, but yeah.
And it wasn't watching it, but still, this is poorly staffed. Is this how he keeps his money? He just doesn't staff things? Anyway, they get in, they find the security office. Shock and surprise, Ma's cornering Nathan about grandbabies. But they find second aunt is in a guest room. And they're like, cool, let's go do that. Except they go upstairs and immediately run into somebody. And I thought it was going to be Rochelle. Because I'm like, oh no. And then we run into, I was like, Rochelle, that seems right. Nope, just straight up to Christopher. Sup, my man.
And he's like, what are you doing here? And they're like, what? And he's like, Mimi-chan. And they're like, what?
Turns out, huge fan of fourth aunt and her music career when it was there in Indonesia. She had at least a song on the radio, and apparently it was a big hit, and people are very nostalgic about it. Honestly, I liked it. I kind of liked that twist, and I wish we got more of it, honestly. We got to see Big Aunt in her environment. We've heard she's this famous chef, the Ritz, her people love her, and so we go to Jakarta and we see that, and that's really cool. And then we get this moment with fourth aunt where all these people are just enchanted by her and love her and remember her art, and we get to see her appreciated in her form. Screw Ma and second aunt. I guess technically we get to see second aunt with Abi, but
and doing Tai Chi. Again.
You do find out when you finally find her that she was forcing the guards to do Tai Chi with her, and they were enjoying it.
But they said they were enjoying it, yeah.
So I guess we kind of get second aunt. Ma just gets, I want grandbabies, and that's the only plot line she gets.
It's the most important plot line, because grandbabies.
I guess so. So fourth aunt is on the stage, except Rochelle recognizes her. And this is where I'm just flabbergasted. Okay, Rochelle's rude to her friend. Okay, Rochelle's rude to these people that she views as lower than herself. She is in the middle of a party with his business partners and close friends, and she is elbowing people out of the way, rolling her eyes at her grandfather, being just so rude as a person. And I'm just...
After doing this whole thing to try to take over the company, if you have ambitions to take over a company like this, you have to conduct yourself in a manner that is befitting.
That's not a petulant American teenager. It was kind of shocking because after 2 books of Meddie going through what she went through with her aunties and mom, and then you see everyone else with aunties and mom, and this really, it's so important to their very culture to respect your elders and all these things. And just for her to just, I don't know, I was shocked that she was just so blatantly, obviously rude in a room filled with his business partners, and then she rolls her eyes at him. Wow, I was shocked.
This is definitely how we treat our elders.
Yeah, like I said, I could totally believe that she was rude to people that she viewed as lower than herself, but it was the fact that he didn't yell at her for embarrassing him in front of people, shocking.
Yup.
But Meddie leaves Fourth Aunt to go get Second Aunt because Fourth Aunt is on stage. And why? Yeah, you have Ma and Nathan on it. They're on the same floor. Why does Meddie have to go?
Because...
What's the use of getting Second Aunt if you're gonna lose Fourth Aunt?
Fourth Aunt can handle herself.
And Big Aunt is by herself in the kitchen the whole time.
Fourth Aunt's been drugging people all day. Fourth Aunt can handle herself.
Alright, she's a Spitfire, that is for sure.
For sure.
So she goes upstairs, a door creaks open, and Meddie immediately runs into it, finds Ma and Nathan with the stupidest excuse of, you opened it slowly, so I knew whoever was in this room was sneaking around. And I was like, that's when you find out the second plot. Someone else has broken into the house. Like someone from, I don't know, someone random has broken into the house and is also trying to steal something. But no, it is Ma and Nathan.
Could you imagine, though?
That would have been so good, but that's not where we're going with this. On their third try, they open the door, no lock, no one sitting in front of it because there's 3 guards inside of it. As I mentioned, doing Tai Chi with her. And, okay, this is where we fall off. This might be the -1 star territory. Nathan and Ma start attacking the guards with Second Aunt, and Nathan's like, run, Meddie! Get help! What help, Nathan? What help? You are in enemy territory, breaking and entering. She calls the police, and the police think that, first of all, she's pulling a trick on them. I think I would too, but what help, Nathan? Big Aunt is in the kitchen, probably gone. Fourth Aunt is gone. We've lost Fourth Aunt. What help, Nathan? Anyway, she runs away, runs into another room, and wouldn't you know it, she did that because...
We're just gonna throw it out there. There's been no lead up to this at all.
She's pregnant.
No hints towards it.
0 lead up to this.
Comes out of nowhere.
It comes out of nowhere, and it frustrates me because I know the author's process. I kind of follow her. I love her as a person, and I love some of her other books that we'll one day do. But her writing process, she learned during NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. And that's essentially you write a novel in a month. And so what she does, and she's admitted it, she's expressed that she does this, she'll get a hotel room for the weekend and spend the entire weekend just writing. She is a pantser. That doesn't stop you from editing.
She's a what?
A pantser. She kind of has an outline and then she just writes and sees what happens.
Oh, okay.
You can kind of tell because a lot of her novels just take random turns and you're like, okay, I guess we're going this way, which works really well in her suspense books. Kind of works against her in this series because, like I said, you really, really easily could have had clues up to this moment. She is in early pregnancy.
It probably wouldn't have taken much to go back and add a couple things here and there, you know?
Yeah, You could have made Meddie tired. You could have made Meddie, oh, I love this food. And then she gets there and she's like, oh, I don't want to eat that actually. That makes my stomach want to die. Food aversions.
Meddie could have been nauseous periodically.
She could have thought, oh, maybe people can get sick from jet lag. People can get sick from all sorts of things. She could have been emotional in a way that she's not normally emotional.
I mean, she was a little bit.
She is a little bit, but she could see her family teary-eyed a little bit. And she's like, oh my gosh, I guess I just haven't seen them in so long. I didn't realize that it meant so much to see them again. Having been pregnant, there are signs. And yes, there are people that don't have any signs whatsoever. Then how would she know she's pregnant? She's like, I haven't had my period for a month and like 2 weeks. I know I'm pregnant. My girl. She hasn't even taken a pregnancy test. You could have so easily, and it would have been so rewarding. Either because you picked him up along the way and you're like, huh, that's weird, or it gives you something to look for when you reread it again. Why? I was so upset at this point. Or you could have freaking told us sooner. And then it would have been very emotional that she has to go do this. And we would have been worried about Meddie. Why? Just so randomly. So randomly. Nathan's like, hey, go get help. And she runs away. And she's like, but actually, I would have run away anyway because I know I'm pregnant.
Also, how does Fourth Aunt know? Because there's been no signs, so how would Fourth Aunt know?
There's no signs! The biggest one is you're freaking tired. You're just tired. And Meddie is up at 5 a.m., no problems, running around, gets woken up in the middle of the night, no problems. Not even a mention that she's tired. There is one point where she lays down and she sleeps longer than she normally would. But you know what could have also caused that? Being woken up at 2 in the morning? Nothing. We have absolutely nothing. She's around all her family. She just got married. She's on her honeymoon. Great excuses to be emotional. She's around a lot of food. So easily could have slipped in anything. I'm glad she didn't be like, oh, I'm eating more than normal, because that does not happen that early in the pregnancy. But still, -1 star. And then it feels like several times you can tell she was like, and we're going this way now. Like Nathan getting kidnapped. That didn't feel fleshed out. Second aunt getting kidnapped was way more fleshed out. And then Meddie having to run away from fourth aunt because reasons. And then I'm pregnant. Oh, and I bet Nathan knew. And that's why he told me to run away. No, he's surprised. Not at all. But yeah, fourth aunt knows, and then, I don't know, she's fourth aunt. I'm fine with that, honestly. She just feels like the one that would know. You just get a vibe.
Yeah, she does feel like the one that would know.
I noticed it a lot more in this book. I don't know why I didn't notice in other ones this month. And fourth aunt's English is a lot better, and she's on TikTok, so she knows a lot of culturally younger things.
The narrator for the audiobook also gives her slightly less of an accent than the other siblings.
Phenomenal. Her work is wonderful. She handles all of it so well.
She super does.
Whoever scored her did a huge favor to the series. But Meddie, fourth aunt, Ma, Nathan, second aunt all get found. She calls Abby and is like, hey, we're stuck. And he's like, cool, war. Because this entire time, he's just been wanting to go to war with this dude. The slightest provocation. So he's showing up on the lawn with a bunch of cars. Oh, and by the way, there were several times where they talked about, oh, the rifles they're carrying? Fake. They're fake. Don't worry. They're not real. Meddie's like, I don't believe you for a second. But so a bunch of guys just show up in all these armored cars and whatever. And so Christopher's walking out there with second aunt, fourth aunt, Nathan and Ma as first line of defense. Don't shoot me because they're in front of me. Come to find out, Big Aunt is still cooking.
She's in her element. She's going.
No one's gone down there. She's doing it so well that no one's noticed. This is how I know there's no serving staff. No one was like, hey, there's only one woman in this room.
But there has to be, because there's no way she's cooking all that stuff and serving it.
But at the same time, Meddie goes down there and is just Big Aunt. Literally no service staff. Beside the point. I might have a history in event planning, and just this all seems so unrealistic. Anyway, Meddie gets mad a little bit and ends up breaking his desk because there's a locked drawer, and she's like, I need to get some dirt on this dude so he'll stop. And so can't unlock it, so decides to break the desk. I have questions.
Makes sense to me, I guess.
It made sense, but I don't believe she has the physical power to do it.
Yeah, but she's pregnant now, so she has pregnancy strength.
Oh my gosh. She has less energy than before. Exactly.
Yeah, pregnancy strength.
Whatever, it works. She doesn't really use a tool. She just breaks it. Not very good wood. I mean, thoughts, but...
Yeah, she's like, it's wood, so I can break it. And I'm like, if this is a rich man, then it's
good wood!
It's not plywood, it's good wood. You're thinking like oak.
Hardwood!
It's hardwood.
Thick! 2 inches!
There is no, and then I kicked it. Also, how did you flip it? Sam knows, because that hardwood desk we got, that thing was heavy.
I don't, and it's not a desk. It's basically the size of a gigantic dinner table. She just flips it?
There's no way she flips it.
There's no way she flipped this. There's no way this isn't bolted to the ground. You can do that with this. The drawer is canonically some sort of metal, steel. I don't care if you break the desk. It's still in a rectangle of steel. It's not how drawers work. Anyway, I just went with it. I was like, fine, Meddie, you kind of deserve this. Go ahead, wreck his stuff. He's kind of being the worst. Fine.
It's like, all right, this is the thing. Continuing on now.
Because here's what I wanted more than anything. The first book and the second book, she gets so embarrassed by her aunties and her mom. And it's a whole thing. And in both books, she's like, I need to remember to love my mom and my aunties. So you want to know what I wanted? I wanted Meddie's inner auntie to come out. I wanted her to pull, I am a pregnant woman. You guys have been messing with my family. We are done. I wanted her mad. I wanted her outraged. I wanted her to walk down there, and she kind of does.
She does a little bit.
Walk down there, grab him by the ear, and be like, excuse me. She does a little bit. Granted, these are mafia leaders, so a little bit unrealistic, but I wanted her to have her auntie moment, to really connect with her ma and her aunties and be like, I get it. I am now the mom. I get it. I have peanut. I am mad. I have rage. So she finds 30 years of business rivalry crap where Christopher's reporting on Abby and Abby's reporting on him. And it's nothing illegal. It's just petty, vindictive trash. And so she gets mad. She finds in his bedroom a letter from his dead wife saying she knows he's in love with another. And I'm going to be honest, and maybe it would have been more interesting. I thought it was second aunt.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
I was just straight up like, oh my gosh. Second aunt has 2 probably billionaires fighting over her for 30 years. No, he's in love with Julia Child. This is stupid. And once again, it pulls and Julia Child suddenly shows up on the lawn in a helicopter because, when I called the police and called Abby because we saw her do that, I also called Julia Child.
It's like, yeah, when did that happen? It didn't happen.
That felt like another moment. I was like, and Julia Child shows up.
I thought it was the police.
Oh, do I need to edit that to make sense later? Nah.
I was like, oh, the police have shown up.
Do you know how many conversations on the phone we had to put up with? And you skip the one where you're talking to freaking Julia Child to bring her to the mansion in a helicopter in the middle of all this? What did you say?
Words, obviously.
He has been in love with Julia Child his entire life, but he was jealous and mistook second aunt for Julia Child. And so when Abby was dating second aunt, he was convinced that he was dating Julia Child. And instead of confronting her or him, they just all become petty billionaires.
Yeah, that's how you do it, right?
It ends very well. Julia Child and him are like, oh, it's for the best that we didn't get together because now we're billionaires.
Sure.
But now we can get together. And he was a good husband to his first wife. Don't feel bad for her living in another woman's shadow for the entirety of her life.
I feel bad for her.
I feel so bad for her.
And then Michelle comes out of nowhere and is like, I'm a sensitive responsible human being now.
Actually, Grandpa, Grandma told me, because I'm your favorite grandchild. Why? Rochelle, go away. No one wants you.
I don't know why she liked you.
I don't know why anyone likes you. You're not competent.
You use those stupid teenager insults that makes everybody that's older than 20 go, oh, you think that's a good one, don't you?
You're cringy, girl. You're cringy. Anyway, but yeah, and I thought we were going to have an interesting moment where second aunt would have to choose whether she returns with her family to America or she stays in Jakarta to pursue this relationship with Abby.
I thought this was leading to them all staying, honestly, because Big Aunt was going to work at the Ritz again because that's her other family, and Second Aunt's going to marry Abby, and Meddie and Nathan like it better there anyway and want to raise their child there, so obviously everybody's staying. But no, that doesn't happen. Of course, it doesn't say that doesn't happen. It's just they're pushing really hard to leave right before the book ends.
Yeah, the ending is Meddie wants to leave immediately, but the 3 billionaires show up with a ton of gifts, and oh, don't worry about the chefs, they got a year's worth of salary. We're not going to mention the security guard, though.
Absolutely not.
Oh, and by the way, Meddie's pregnant! And gosh darn it, Meddie learns a lesson. She learns that she loves her family. Except for the cousins, screw them. She doesn't actually want to go to lunch with any of them.
What cousin's lunch?
She says she does. I don't believe her. Oh my gosh, this book needed to be longer. The font needed to be smaller. We didn't need buffer pages. We needed more book, less deadline.
It definitely felt like meeting a deadline.
I just honestly wonder how much of it is self-imposed because she writes so many books. She has, at this point, when did Dial A for Aunties come out? April 2021.
Yeah.
This was this woman's first book, right? The debut, right? She has 10 books. 10 books in 3 years. 10 books!
I couldn't.
I'm not 100% sure she can either. That's insane. That's literally insane. The fact that any of the books are frankly coherent and some of them are good is insane. But how much of her deadline is self-imposed? Because if there is a publisher out there who's demanding 10 books in 3 years, they need to be shut down. That's insane. So it feels a little self-imposed that she's writing and she's getting all these books published. Even cozy mystery writers only write one a year. My gosh, it's insane. So she can't provide as much attention to the books as I think she should. And it's good. There's really good stuff here. I just wish there was more of it. And I just wish it was more fleshed out. So that's kind of how I feel about this at the end. Here, general thoughts. Girl, breathe. Take a vacation, please. I'm worried about you. Just a little bit. I'm thoroughly impressed at the same time, but I'm also concerned for your mental health. That's so many books. That's so many books. Published. That's not even writing and editing and oh my gosh. This must be her only job because there's a lot of authors that being an author doesn't actually pay the bills and so they have another job, but I can't. This has to be her job, like her full-time job. I don't know how you have time for literally anything else. My word. So yeah, third Aunties book. I have on somewhat good authority that this is her last Aunties book, probably for the best. If she did do another Aunties book, I would like it to be a couple years down the road when she has a chance to think about these books a little bit more, flesh them out a little bit more, maybe put more of an outline together, please. But yeah, that's the book.
I liked it more than the second book, but not as much as the first one.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't read this one again.
Yeah.
But it did make me want to read the first one again, though.
That's the true marketing here.
Yeah.
I own the first and second book. I bought the second book because I really loved the first book, you know, the delayed flop. I don't feel a need to own this book. I don't really see what I would get reading it a second time. I got the bullet points, and I also already kind of spoiled my one question for the author. What is her writing timelines? From concept to turning it over to get published. I want to know, what's her average? 30 days? This feels like a 30-day turnaround a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Hold on. We're going back. Goodreads, come back to me.
Baby, come back.
I like this author a lot. I think she could be really successful. I just want her to breathe. Oh yeah, sorry, I also forgot she has 2 children's books.
Oh, wow.
So 12. We have 12 books in 3 years. I'm impressed, a little terrified, a little concerned, but also excited. I don't know. I hope she's doing well. I want whatever process she does, I hope it works for her.
The big question is, if this is a self-imposed timeline, why give yourself such a short timeline if it's going to result in a book that has such a choppy ending?
It really is.
If it's only you, then you have time to go back and flesh it out.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It should have ended with them being like, yeah, we're moving to Jakarta.
That's what it felt like it was leading to. Or at least ended with the cousin dinner.
Gosh, yeah.
They're like, we're leaving. They're like, but you guys planned this cousin dinner, though.
No, we're leaving immediately. Not immediately, though. We waited another.
Also, part of what made it so choppy is there's a bit where all of the people are like, oh, you're leaving? And they're like, yeah, there's stuff. And they clearly don't believe them. They think they're just leaving. And then we don't ever circle back around to that at all. It's just, we throw that in at the end, and then we don't circle back around to it.
We gotta get to the part where Meddie's pregnant. Honestly, at this point, you might as well have just sprung it at the end. I feel like that would have been more satisfying than I'm about, oh no, I can't possibly be harmed. It might put my little peanut in danger. But let me flip a desk. Can't stand with my man, but I can flip a desk. Okay. Rating. Strained family reunion out of 10. It was good to see him. It was nice. I've been wondering what her and the aunties have been up to. Oh, good. Learning your life milestones. I think I want to leave and not come back. Goodbye. Maybe I should just have me on Facebook out of 10. I want to see what you're up to, but I would like to not be involved. Thank you.
Dude, not even that. I haven't used Facebook in years. I'm so glad I'm watching this from all the way over here out of 10.
Basically the same thing, but not Facebook.
Yeah, the secondhand embarrassment isn't horrible, but
I'm glad I'm not there.
Oy.
I don't want to be involved in any of that. Hearing the story secondhand out of 10. And if it wasn't clear, favorite of the series, because supposedly this is the end, Dial A for Aunties. It's just high quality. Of her books that I've read, it is my second favorite because Vera Wong is my favorite now. But it's not a disappointment, but it's also not there either. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I didn't hate it. It's not my favorite thing.
I don't even think I would change anything. I just want more things. More fleshed out, more stuff. Just period. And now I agree with you. The ending should have been they all moved to Jakarta.
For real.
Even Nathan was like, hey, it's fine. I can just move here because of my business. I have to be here half the year anyway. But have you read this book? If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? Do you have any book recommendations for us? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit like. And if you're enjoying yourself, hit subscribe for more. Thank you for exploring the good, the bad, and the aunties with us. Join us next time when we'll be covering Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. I'm Sam Reiner.
And I'm Lizzie Sawyer.
And we hope to see you and a friend here next time. Escape with Me Book Club is a Lunar Skulk production. Check us out on TikTok or Instagram to keep up to date with us. Lunar_SKULK.